here and let you guys know that we are recording this. There's a few people that weren't able to make it, so we're going to send that to them. So yeah, so I have a few people that I've already asked to just kind of share what's been going through their heads in ministry, some of the things that they have been doing to connect with families and kids, and just kind of what their thoughts are of their strategy moving forward and how it's shifted in this last week. So we're going to start with Mike and Lynn Brownlee. If you guys just want to give a quick kind of where you're from and what your ministry is, and then just kind of share 5 to 10 minutes. If you get to 10 minutes, I'll cut you off because we want to keep this to an hour. But yeah, take it away and just kind of share what you guys have been going through and what your kind of thoughts are for the weeks ahead.
Sure. Well, thanks for inviting us here. Good to see everybody virtually. Yeah, so Lynn and I work with Metro Kids, and so we're doing inner city bus ministry in Surrey. And so a lot of that involves getting together large groups of kids on vehicles, none of which is possible right now. So so really felt like we've been kind of thrust into the digital world really quickly. We had a few things going before, but now it's like, okay, well, the only thing that we can do is online. And so
we didn't even have very many parents following us on Instagram. Like our Instagram account, Metro Kids Society, was mostly followed by our donors because we do personal visitation every week. Most of our communication with the parents was face-to-face at the door. And like the personal visitation is like a huge component of our ministry. And so we switched to texting. I mean, we did have texting as well as part of our communication with parents, but now we are using texting and trying to drive as much traffic from the parents and the homes to our Instagram or Facebook pages. So that's a brand new sort of all at once world for us too.
So the other challenge for us has been trying to figure out what platforms the kids and the families are on and how to connect with them. And so it kind of feels like we wound up doing a shotgun approach because we've got kids, preteens, youth, and young leaders class. And so they're all on different platforms right now. Yeah. So our young leaders class, they tried Zoom, but the teens couldn't get on there for some reason. So now they're doing that over Skype. With our kids, we started with Facebook Live, just hold the cell phone up in the living room and okay, this is what we're doing today. And then what we wound up doing was pre-recording our stuff and putting it together and then uploading it to YouTube and Facebook and doing a premiere for each of those. So it appears like it's live, but we're able to get a lot of the transitions and really up the quality a little bit. But let me tell you, video editing is a lot of work.
Mike was already skilled at video editing, but yeah, he's probably spending how many hours a year week?
I'd say 15 or 20 hours a week to put together a 45-minute program.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's probably exaggerating a little bit, but when you count waiting for it to upload and trying to figure out why it's not uploading and all of this, it's been a pretty big technological learning curve for us, and that's been mentally exhausting. It's been really difficult to figure out the platforms. Okay, well, why can't you stream Instagram and Facebook at the same time? And okay, so we're gonna have to like tape the phone onto the back of the laptop. Where do I get another webcam from? What are these lights doing? What's a stream key? All these sorts of things have been really weird. Makes me feel old. But I feel like now after 4 weeks, we've been able to kind of settle into a bit of a routine and we kind of know what we're doing. So for our preteen group, what we're doing is we're doing a live video on Instagram and YouTube. And for that, I'm using a software that I just learned last week called Streamlabs that allows you to do live screen sharing. We can do Kahoots live. put videos in there, switch between cameras, things like that. It's really powerful and actually works pretty well. And so, so that's been a helpful thing. And then the youth has been like webcam in our youth pastor's living room, and they've been working out those bugs as well. And so it's kind of like we're all over the place. But it's really difficult to know who's where. And we find with different age groups, they're on different platforms, and trying to connect as many people with that is pretty difficult.
I think we find that probably the most places where kids and their parents are viewing our Kids Club program is Facebook.
Yeah.
So that seems to be kind of the one that most, and they are watching. I mean, with our preteen program, we find that it's very quick for kids to tab away, to like switch screens to look at something different the second that's kind of boring or whatever. So it's our content has to be like really, really engaging. And so that's, that's good. It's good for us to like be in a position where we have to like be really creative and really on all the time, especially with the kids that we're reaching. The parents, there are some parents that are watching and are appreciating what we're doing, but for the most part, it's not like the parents are like, okay, listen, you've got to sit down because it's Kids Club time and you're watching this because we're a family. And, so we have to really strive to and make them want to stay there.
And that is a difficult part because we don't know that all our parents are on board. A lot of our parents, they're just trying to survive themselves, especially in these times. And so we can't guarantee that, mom's going to get her kids onto Facebook or Instagram and set up the TV or things like that. And so that's a difficult thing because we don't really know exactly who's tuning in and who we're missing. But one of the things that we started doing Easter week was we made activity packages for all our kids.
And treat bags.
Yeah, so we printed out some puzzles, some coloring sheets, put some candy in there, and then about 5 or 6 of our staff went around and just hung a bag on every doorknob of all the kids that we had. So it was 240 last week that we went around and we just dropped these bags off. And in there's a contest. So this week we're doing a coloring contest. So the coloring sheet is in there, and there's a little flyer saying on Saturday, go to Facebook or go to YouTube and send.
DM us your coloring picture. And then the prize gets announced at the end of the program. And so we find that the contests are helping drive the traffic to the program. And also a big part of why we want to do the activity packs and prize bags and things like that, because we also drop off prize bags for things. Just to bring them, just uplift their spirits. We're not, at this point, we're not like feeling like, okay, we're going to have like this amazing theological Bible teaching time and kids are getting saved and, all this amazing transformational relationship stuff. At this point, we just sort of feel like we just want to bring a bright spot and hope and just let them know that, they're going to be okay during this time. Like that's kind of our number one goal. And treats are a big way to do that.
Yeah. So long term, if this continues, we feel like we've got a system that kind of works anyway. So we'll continue to do the weekly activity bags and treats, and then film our program in events and do a YouTube and a Facebook premiere every Saturday and try and engage as many families as we can that way. So that's kind of our setup, how we've figured to make it work. So pre-recording, YouTube and Facebook premiere, and for live stuff, Streamlabs OBS, streaming to YouTube and to Facebook. Seems to work pretty well. So that's what we figured out. Looking for other suggestions.
And then we're also helping with some meals and grocery gift cards and stuff, because we work with a lot of families in poverty. And so we are out in the community a bit, trying to be wise and protect ourselves and protect the community. But like when we do our door-to-door deliveries, we'll like place things at the door, knock on the door, and then usually what I'll do, if it's a house, I'll just move back onto the lawn. have a brief, conversation if they're there, or if it's an apartment complex, I'll just move down the hall. And then sometimes if the kids like answer the door, the parents, I'll just be like, hi. I don't stay too long, especially in apartment buildings. There's definitely a risk. There's so many doors and so many things that you're in contact with, and so many people in narrow hallways, but it's kind of one of those risks that we're willing to expose ourselves to because we're essential services.
Yeah, that's good. A couple questions from Jenny for you guys. Quick questions are, how long is your kids club program?
Yeah, if we were doing it indoors, whatever, it would be about an hour, hour and a quarter. And online, it's about 35 minutes, somewhere in there. And I haven't really dug into the stats on YouTube to find out if people are watching right to the end or not. So haven't really researched that to find out if that's actually effective or not. But we cut out a few things, and there's a lot less kind of in between stuff. That's one of the bonuses of doing pre-recorded stuff, is if I'm blabbing on too long in between stuff, I can just cut that out, and just cut to the next thing and just move on. So it gives a little bit of hindsight for that, and you can make it really tight. And so that's really helpful.
Yeah, shorter.
Awesome. Yeah,
shorter
that's good.
content.
Thanks you guys so much for sharing that. That was awesome. Next, we're going to pass this on over to Alicia at Abbotsford Pentecostal. So Alicia, you can take it away if you kind of share what you guys are up to and what your strategy has been.
Yeah, so we started, I feel like kind of like everyone, just like throwing everything at the wall and seeing what would stick. And we had a lot, we used Instagram and Facebook a lot for like just different games. We had something like every day of the week, like a different either activity or way to like engage family. Kind of, moving into like more of a long-term plan. We just have felt that it was a bit much, and it was hard to track like engagement, and some things just seemed to be like a waste of time. And we were recognizing that I think it's already been said, but there's just like been so much that has like been thrown at families, and there's just like so much content. And so trying to see where we can like put our time that is like worth the effort and worth the time, and is like something like valuable. And so we kind of narrowed it down just this week, actually. And our weekends, what we've been doing has really been working for our like Sunday kid service. We have been filming a kind of like a kids variety show. Our kids lessons run along the same series as our whole church. And so whatever series our like adults are just being preached on Sundays for our adults, we preach the same thing to the kids. And so that was like kind of a added fun element to try and figure this out of how we would share that with the kids. And so we film something during the week, and then we actually have a volunteer who edits it all for us. And so it's like such a blessing. I don't know how we would do it otherwise. But that's been really good. So that is our like main like service. And so we post that on Sunday mornings, and it's up for the kids to watch whenever the families get a chance. And then we also on Saturday mornings, we've been doing bingo on Instagram Live. And so I just have like a bingo roller thing, and we put a template on Facebook and Instagram that the kids can like follow to make their own bingo cards. And then my husband and I just do bingo. And that's been really big. I think we have anywhere between like 10 and 20 viewers. And so like that would represent like some families. So like 15 to 20 on average kids that are playing with us. And so that's been like really fun because it's a little one-sided because it's just like me on the camera. Sorry. So it's a little one-sided, but we're able to like engage and chat through the comments. And so it feels like there's a little bit more of a like connection piece there. And it's been really fun, and people look forward to it. This last week, because it was Easter weekend, we dropped off prizes for the winners of the game. Our kids ministry in total, I saw the question, on average, every Sunday we have about 100 kids from like nursery to 10 years old. That answers the question. So that's kind of what we focus on for the weekends. We do like Saturday bingo, and then we film our kids video. We have that on Sundays. And we right now, it's a little stressful because we're going into a brand new series. And so right now we're only 1 week in advance. But we try to film. We're trying to film two Sundays a week so we can like get in advance. So right now we're just working week to week for the past couple weeks. I guess this has only been like 4 weeks. So there was 1 week where we filmed 2 in 1 week. But that's the goal. So right now we're just week to week. And then we're launching it next week, but we're going to be doing, like our church has started doing online socials, like connect groups online via Zoom. And so we're actually going to start some of those for our kids. We're going to do like a book club for our like toddlers and preschools if they can sit in front of the camera long enough to watch the book. But we'll do like a little book club, like a book reading for them. And then we're going to have two Zoom calls for grades 1 to 2. I can't remember how we split up. And then grades 3 and 4. So grade 5s are already in our like middle school Zoom calls. And so we're going to start that up so that we're going to have that in the week. And focus for that will be like some games and a little bit more of like Bible, like teaching, and being able to like do things like sword drills and have Bible studies and really like have the like biblical literacy piece that I feel like we're really that we haven't been able to hit on since this all started. Because I do feel like everything that we're putting out has been fairly one-sided. So we're starting those. I don't know if anyone has done like Zoom calls or connect groups or things like that with their groups, but it'd be really interesting to know how it's gone, or like what some things have been good for you guys. We're starting to do that. And then, yeah, like I think Mike and Lynn had said, we also did an Easter bag for families that they could come and pick up, and the response for that was really good, and it made us realize that this is just like something really small that we can throw together, and it brought like so much joy to people. So I think we're going to be trying to figure out how we can do that like for different occasions, or every couple of months, depending on how long this goes, or like a schools out bag, something like that. But that's basically it. We do, and then we use Instagram and Facebook just for like random posts here and there. Just reading the questions. The bingo game. How do you send out the cards? We have the kids write a card. So I like put together just like a blank bingo card template that they can use. And I just have, I think the numbers have to be separate. The numbers have to be separate. You can only have 1 to 15 under the B, 16 to 30 under the I. So, and then they just write it at home and make their own. We are spending less. The only thing really that we've been spending money on since all of this was the Easter baskets or the Easter bags, but we kind of had everything already purchased for Easter anyway, so we just divvied up most of the supplies that we already had. We're definitely spending less, trying not to spend it all if we can.
Awesome. I got a question for you about your Zoom small groups. Do you have volunteer small group leaders for that, or are you taking the lead on all those Zoom groups?
Yeah, we have either myself or like one of our, like an intern will be leading the group with a second volunteer. So we are having two adults. We are having 2 adults in each call. And so this is 3 calls, so half of them are volunteers. But if it takes off and they grow, we'll be looking to have more volunteers leading them.
Awesome, that's so great. Thanks, Alicia, for sharing. Lots of good stuff there.
Sure.
We're gonna jump now to Lisa Grant in Penticton. So I'll hand this over to you if you want to share what's been going on at Bethel.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Lisa, and I'm at Bethel Church here in Penticton in the Okanagan. So just a little bit about our ministry. I'm the kids director, and I lead the kids with one assistant. I lead the kids ministry. We have about 70 kids that we see from ages 0 up to grade 5 every week, and that's approximately 50 families that we're serving in our ministry. So to give you an idea of scale, and so when all this started, I guess I asked myself 3 questions. So first, how do we equip families to serve to disciple their kids at home? What is kids church going to look like on Sundays? And then how do we foster community engagement when we can't be together, right? Obviously. So those are the 3 questions I asked myself, and then tried to come up with an 8-week plan right from the beginning, starting on March 15th, because I kind of knew that we would be in this for the long haul. So the plan that I had originally come up with was to have an online resource for families that had a video and some sort of activity that I could add a craft or something in for the littles that they could use at home. So we're using the Lifeway Bible Studies for Kids. And there's an app for that families can use as well. And then the other thing we did was to have a midweek activity. So we wanted to foster community engagement. We wanted to foster kids sharing stuff that they were doing at home with each other on social media, as well as provide ideas for families to connect with each other. They're not really Bible-based activities, like things like build a fort with your parents, and or maybe go for a nature walk and pray together while you're in nature. Or another one we did was serve your family dinner and set the table like you're at a restaurant. We can't go out, so you might as well have some fun together at home. So things like that. So we were doing that every Wednesday as a midweek kind of connection point. And then the other strategy we had right from the beginning was to put all of our resources and all of the links to all of our resources right up on our website, as well as outline what the online ministry strategy was going to be during this time, because I wanted to equip parents so that they knew exactly what the plan was right up front. So that's what we did starting 8 weeks ago. And then here we are 8 weeks later, asking, how is it working for our families, and where are we at now, and what do we need to change and adapt moving forward? So a lot of what we've done has been great, but I will say that online engagement has been low. So at this point, what I'm doing is calling parents and talking to them, just having a old-fashioned phone conversation, asking them, what's working for you at home? What does church look like for your family? How can we help you? So what I've been hearing is that kind of a 50-50 split among our parents, that they half are great with online engagement. The other half don't want any more online stuff than needed, because now that school has kind of put in their requirements and expectations for families, and kids are using online classrooms quite a bit, parents are asking us to give them something physical that their kids can have in their hands for church. They don't, I don't know that Zoom, like in our case anyway, like I did have the idea of doing like life group Zoom calls for kids, and we may still do that. But the feedback I'm hearing from our families is that might not be the best option for them, only because they allot 2 to 3 hours of screen time for their kids per day, for example, and that's quickly being eaten up with their schoolwork. So it doesn't leave a lot of space left for us. So the question moving forward now is, how do we engage with our kids if we can't do things with them online? So that's something I'm looking at as well. Yeah, so now the long-term strategy, we could be in this till June, maybe longer. So there's 3 things that I'm looking at. I'm looking at Sunday mornings, looking at parents, and community. So for Sunday mornings, what we're going to be adding is a kids video that we're gonna put up 30 minutes before our service. So Alicia, you're rocking it. Like I've seen it, looks great. And Nicole and Josh, you guys are doing such a great job. I commend you because like your worship video was fantastic. So something that we're working on is putting together a short 10 to 15 minute video that includes worship, some sort of devotion, object lesson for our kids, and then a take-home idea that they can do together as a family. So that's something that's going to be happening from May. We're going to be producing that. And we actually are tying our kids' lessons in with the sermon series. Our lead pastors are going to be doing a series on spiritual disciplines. And so we're going to be tying our kids' lessons into that. So families will be doing spiritual discipline activities together. So that's something. So the second thing I'm looking at, in addition to Sunday videos for kids, is the parents. So we have a prayer team and we have a call team for our families. The prayer team is made up of volunteers who are already serving in kids ministry. Each of them is given a class list to pray for, and families are given that contact person as a person that they can go to submit prayer requests. And then I'm meeting with that prayer team via Zoom, and then we're praying together once a week or once every 2 weeks and regrouping together as a team. I did that for a couple of reasons. One, because prayer is awesome and super important. And two, I wanted our kids' team to still have an opportunity to serve. We can still be the church even though we can't be together. So that's something that both our prayer team and our call team that calls our families are doing. So that's something that's really cool, and we're going to keep doing that. And then I also would like to do a life group for parents. I think this season has really impressed upon my heart that our ministry isn't just to our kids. Our ministry is to the whole family. And now more than ever, I feel like our job as children's directors and children's family pastors is to really connect with the parents. We're their biggest cheerleader, we're their biggest coach, and I think that God can really use us in a cool way to do that with families. So I think a life group for parents, maybe where we look at a book study or we talk a little bit about what discipleship looks like at home. One book that I've read that I really like is Raising Disciples by, I think it's Natalie Frisk. And at the end of each chapter, she has some questions for discussion as well. So that was a book that I thought might apply well to a Zoom life group for families. And then the third thing that I'm looking at is community. And so we're going to be doing monthly gift packs for kids. Like a lot of you, we did an Easter gift package that went over really well. I kind of used it as a test to see how many families are comfortable coming to our church and picking up something or having us deliver it to them. And they all went, and everyone talked about how much they loved it and how their kids felt so special and appreciated. So that's something we're going to keep doing. And so for our upcoming study on spiritual disciplines, I'm going to put together a package for families that gives them resources to do that at home. And yeah, I think that's kind of what we're up to at Bethel. So if you guys, okay, so looking at questions. So in our gift packs, yeah, so I'm going to be putting in, so a couple of things. So some ideas for games that they can do that relate to each Sunday's sermon, and any supplies that they need for those games as well. And I'm going to try and find things that they can do that already exist in their house. Like any crafts or games will be mostly made up of supplies you find in your house. Because one, I don't want to have to go do a lot of shopping, and we are trying to keep our costs down. Jenny asked about budget. Yeah, we're trying to keep our budget down as much as possible right now. So that's something that we're going to do. And then we're also going to put in, little candies, little snacks for kids because they love that. Coloring. One thing I'd like to do is put in a coloring for the verse for each week so that they can meditate and work on that verse. Yeah, so just some things like that. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, awesome, Lisa. That was fantastic. And yeah, I will echo you for Raising Disciples by Natalie Frisk. That's one of the best parenting, discipling resource books that I've read in the past year. So I definitely recommend that to everyone. And even if you're able to get that in the hand of your parents, or even just somehow break that out into lessons that you can teach parents, it's a fantastic book. So yeah, thank you, Lisa, for sharing. And now we're going to move over to Kyle Epp, who's at Living Waters Willoughby campus. So Kyle, if you wouldn't mind just sharing what you guys have been doing there.
Absolutely. Thanks, Austin. So I would say, like a lot of what I'm going to say has been echoed by a lot of other people. So I don't have a whole lot to add. I would say that at Living Waters, one of the biggest challenges that we're facing, we have divided into 2 locations recently, like within the last 2 years. And obviously in the midst of everything that's happening, we're now trying to figure out how to bring that all back together under one banner. And so that's been interesting because you have different leaders leading in different capacities and in different ways with different freedoms. And so it's been interesting navigating some of those conversations, but great in building a solid, cohesive team. Some of the things that we have succeeded in doing that I think have been working really well for our families is keeping things very, very simple. So we haven't worked hard to create a lot of additional programming. We've worked very hard at creating things that can be done together as a family, so that we're creating an environment where families aren't being separated into parents doing their own thing, kids doing their own thing, trying to create a little bit more of that strength in the family. And so the way that that's kind of broken down for us week to week is we are releasing a video on Sunday along with what the full church is doing in the live gatherings and or services that we're doing, which are very, very different than what we would normally do on a Sunday morning. So along with that, we're releasing a video that's done by our children's leaders, which is a weekly family challenge. So every week we've created a little bit of a challenge for our families to engage in. So some of the things that we've done in that is like challenging our families to do a lip dub, challenging our families to pick their favorite worship song and create actions to go along with it. Doing some baking in the kitchen and videoing that or taking pictures of that process, building forts, those kinds of things. So just one thing that throughout the course of the week, families are being called to be reminded of and to participate in together. And it's been really fun seeing some of the results of that. Some of the results have been really great and really awesome. And some of the results of that have been parents calling us or texting us and being like, please don't ever do this ever again. We never want to be on a video where we're singing with our kids. It's too stressful. And so it's a lot of fun because it creates a lot of opportunities for us to be discussing things with parents, checking in with parents, finding out how things are going. And at times really alleviating a lot of the stress and a lot of the tension that parents are feeling in the midst of having this entire new system of online engagement that they're having to engage in themselves in order to help their kids engage. So we've kept things pretty simple. The other thing that we've been running with is on Wednesday, we've been releasing like a 5-minute pastoral devotional. So it's either myself or my coworker, Ethan, and we'll record something which is related to the lesson that the kids have access to through the app that we use in the curriculum that we use, which is the Orange curriculum. And so we're really trying to point parents in the direction of engaging the app because it's a great resource. Orange, if you're unfamiliar, does a very, very good job of creating content. And so we feel in the midst of everything that's going on, what's not needed is more content. What's needed is a simple means to access good content. And so that's what we're doing. We're pointing people to that app. And then as a way of creating a pastoral connection point, either myself or Ethan is sitting down and videotaping ourselves talking about how the content from that app is impacting our lives personally and what we're thinking about as we engage that. And usually trying to engage through giving some kind of challenge for our families to engage in that's beyond the family challenge. So a couple of weeks ago, the one that I did was we were talking about how one of the greatest ways that we can follow Jesus is by loving other people the way that Jesus loves us. And so it was super simple. The challenge was basically like, hey, Spend some time this week with your parents, finding ways to love people like Jesus would love you, and let us know in the comments below how that's happening, or what you're doing, or what you've decided to do. And so we've basically left it at that. So a midweek connection point, which is like a very pastoral conversation almost, even though the kids aren't interacting with you, doing that. And then the other thing that we've been doing are those Sunday morning family challenges that get carried throughout the whole week. Something that we did for Holy Week, which we found was very successful and we're looking at continuing to do, is something that other people have already commented on, which was a Zoom call. So what we did is we read The Biggest Story. I'd have to grab the book in order to tell you who it's by, but it was basically like a story that walks through the meta-narrative of Scripture. And so we broke it up into chapters, and every day we sat down with the kids and just read them a story, and then spent some time praying with them. And the way that we found that to work really effectively was actually muting everyone except the person who was leading the story, and just asking the kids to interact by either putting thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways, high five, hands up, kinds of things. So it still allowed them to engage without having to necessarily sit in front of a screen and talk, because we found that the first time we tried to get them all to do that, it was just a cacophony of loudness and voices and shouting, and it was very hard to go anywhere with that. So that's what we found really helpful, and we're looking to continue to do things in that nature and in that realm, potentially having like large groups where we're just simply reading a story, and then having other Zoom times where it would be perhaps smaller groups of like maybe 3 or 4 different families, where we could actually have a little bit more of a conversation with them and find out how they're doing and pray with them individually and things like that. For Easter, we, like many of you, did a little bit of a drive-through, and we found that was incredibly successful for our families. They had an amazing time. We had a blast. It was a beautiful day out here in Langley. The weather could not have been better. And so we absolutely loved that point of connection. We did it for our adults as well. We encouraged them to come through for that Sunday as well. And because of the way that Living Waters parking lot is set up, we could actually have 2 different drive-through areas. So the adults with no kids went in one lane, and the kid cars came in another lane. And so that was good. The orange app, Alex Fisher, is called Parent Queue. And it's a really good resource. It helps parents do exactly what we're aiming to do. It helps parents raise disciples. And so that's what we found to be most effective, is just kind of trying to point them into a resource that's already there and created, and they can choose to engage in whatever way they have capacity for from week to week. So yeah, I'd say that's me.
Awesome. Thanks, Kyle, so much. And yeah, that Parent Q app, it's a great app. And yeah, if you guys are looking for a smile on your face, you can go become friends with Kyle on Facebook and look at all the videos that he does for his kids, because he participates fully in the challenges that he sends out to the families, and they're really good. So good job, Kyle. Thanks for sharing. So we're gonna just move on now to our final guest that I've pre-asked to share, and that's Josh and Nicole. They're in Evangel in Kelowna. So if you guys take it away and let's hear what you guys have been doing.
Hey guys.
Yay.
First of all, I want to say, Austin, I just realized you're in Ron Swanson's office, so that's really cool. Yeah, we just want to share some of the things that we found have worked for us, what we've been doing, and also how this has impacted us positively. Yeah, just ways that we've actually, our view on ministry has shifted because of this. So yeah.
So kind of practically what we've been doing, we've been doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday posts, which I don't know if we're going to continue long term. We'll have to kind of look at that more, because just like what everyone is saying, there's a lot of content right now that parents are having to take in. So but so far we're doing, it's called Operation Reach on Mondays. So that's basically challenges that families can do throughout the week. And we've been having like a theme for each week. Basically that kind of everything goes under what we do on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays is all about that theme. So, so yeah, Operation Reach, where they can love God and love others. Tuesday at the Table, it's like a family devotional, just really simple. Goes through one Bible story and just a few simple questions to help them see themselves in the story, to talk about it as a family, and then some kind of creative aspects they could do with that as a family. So it's our goal with that is just kind of turning meal times, dinner into discipleship. And then Wednesdays, we do Wednesday's Words. So it's been like the most ridiculous part of what we've been doing, but basically Josh and I just make these really silly, ridiculous videos for the kids. And then we basically say, hey, so here's our memory verse for the week. Send us a video with you guys like doing the verse and you could win a prize. And that's been really awesome because it's the kids have been sending in videos, like just being creative. And we've been able to deliver like the prizes to them, or they can, anyway. So it's been an awesome opportunity for a face-to-face communication. And then they've been feeling like connected to us through videos. It's not like we're not super fancy editors or anything. So some of the videos are, they're made with love.
Yeah, but like Mike and Lynn, we've really had to learn how to edit, and it's taken up a lot of time, and that was like such a big learning curve and a stressful time, but we feel like we're getting it a bit more.
So we kind of just limit it to those 3 days in terms of what we're doing posting, because we don't want to overload. And then on Sunday mornings, well, especially for Easter, we really tried to make it engaging for our kids. So we had a volunteer who made that music video that we had. Like a normal cost for that would be unreasonable to do every week. So he volunteered his time freely for that. So that was really awesome. But we did like a music video of us singing a song, a worship song with actions. And then we just did a little object lesson. So yeah.
So we found that like from now on, moving forward, we're still going to do our weekly kind of content where we do challenges for the family and try and connect with them. But we also want to add in a Sunday morning content, because up to this point, except for Easter, we haven't been doing Sunday morning kids church. We've been trying to focus more on like daily, week to week, try and stay connected that way. But from now on, we're going to do just short segment that's part of our normal service for our kids, and it's going to be something that's a part of the preaching, like the theme of the preach. And so that way we don't have to spend too much time trying to make a whole kids church lesson, instead doing something that adds in with our normal church, because that way we feel we can try and be connected as a church more. Since we started at Evangel, one of our biggest goals has been to take like what felt like two kind of like silos of ministry, like adults and children, and try and bring them closer together, like as and a more family. Like connected. And so that's what we're trying to do now with our Sunday mornings. It's actually it's almost like a blessing for bringing our vision in, to have that ability to just put a segment in for our kids that's there every Sunday morning. Another thing that we're doing is we had seen here in Kelowna, there was a group of people that were doing these birthday party parades for kids, and it made like news in BC. It was a really big thing, and we thought we want to do something for our kids too for their birthdays. And we're not going to get a whole bunch of people together for a birthday, because that will take up a crazy amount of time, like for a parade. But we see all the kids in our ministry that have birthdays coming up, and we talk to their parents and ask if we can do like a surprise pop-up birthday in their front yard or their parking lot or whatever that looks like. And we dress up in banana suits and we have big signs that say happy birthday and a speaker that's like blasting music. And we just the kids come outside and we're just there dancing and being really silly and saying happy birthday to them. And we found it's been like, that's been such a blessing for those families and for us too. One of the things that one of the positives that's come out of this time is that we have connected more with families and children individually than we ever have, because we were so focused on like the Sunday morning group gathering or this Tuesday night preteens gathering. And now that we don't have that, we're focusing more on individual families, which is a good thing. And it's something that we weren't as focused on before. So this has changed our thinking and changed our, changed the way we do ministry to focus less on a big group gathering and more on individual families. And we've seen growth through that. We've seen, you know, just connection with, meaningful connection with families. So moving forward, we want to continue to put out weekly content that is just like trying to engage with our families, as well as do a little 5-minute segment on our Sunday morning services to be able to teach the kids and do our birthday pop-ups.
Yeah, so I think as we go, like, because initially we just created more of like a short term, we planned out our themes for that for like 4 weeks and our plan. And so obviously as we all figured out, okay, this is going to be longer than we anticipated. So we're just trying to see what's been working for our kids and our families and how they've been feeling actually connected, like what things they've been, really finding meaningful and just focusing on that. So I think we're going to pare it down to those things. And then I was interested in hearing some of the ideas you guys are using to keep your volunteers connected and getting them involved as well, because I've been thinking like, how are we gonna, well, I don't want all these volunteers that we've like been building up and they've been serving like every month and all of a sudden they just drop off. And so I want to, it's been good to hear some ideas about how we can meaningfully engage our volunteers too and activate them to reach out during this time. So it's also been one kind of other thing that's been neat is that our leadership has given us space to be like, hey, you know, this is a time that you can also work on yourselves. Like, so if that means spending a bit more time, like digging into resources or just, you know, doing courses or whatever you need to do, just to grow yourself too. There's been freedom for that, which has been a cool thing to think about too. So, okay. Oh, those doing videos, what kind of equipment do you use for filming? Are very, as the kids say these days, janky, like Wednesday videos. They are literally just filmed with an iPhone, and then we just edit them on iMovie. So that's nothing fancy, but otherwise we have like kind of a tech guy at our church, and he just has his camera that he films, and he edits anything else that we do that would impact Sunday morning. So yeah, I think that's kind of generally what's been going on for us. Yeah,
awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for sharing that, and it sounds like everything that you guys are doing is awesome, so good on you guys. So looks like we just have a few more minutes left here. So if you guys haven't seen the chat function, there's been a lot of good conversation going on there, people asking questions and even people jumping on there and answering questions. So please take some time and look through that. I'll see if there's a way for me to save that and copy that as well along with this recording. But yeah, as we just wrap up here, it's so encouraging to have all you guys on here and just know that we're all here to love each other, support each other, and just bounce ideas off each other. It's so cool to hear all the different things that people are doing. And it just speaks to the creativity of our God and just what he does through us and in us, in all the different communities that we're at. So it's so cool, so encouraging to hear everything that's going on. If you guys aren't yet part of our Kids Pastors Network Facebook group, I encourage you to jump on there. And lots of those questions that have been popping up in the chat, Those are great questions that you can engage with on that Facebook group. Feel free to post those on there. And just encourage you guys to just check in there as well, just to be able to help support each other out. And if you guys have solutions and answers, to be able to answer those questions for other people, and just we can all support each other as we're better together. So let me just wrap up here with prayer, and then we'll kind of call it there, as it's going to be 3 o'clock. But hey, if anyone wants to stay on, if you do have some extra time, and we can do a little bit of a Q&A, maybe for another 15 minutes, if anyone's up for that, I'm free to stay on and host that if you'd like. So let me pray, and then we'll continue with our day. God, we are just so thankful that we have you. God, you love us, and you care for us, and you are there for us each moment of every day. And God, we are going through some tough times, some difficult times, some really hard times, but we can't thank you enough that we know that you are with us. You are holding us in your hands, and you're caring for us. And God, that just brings so much peace to our lives, knowing that the creator of the universe is in a relationship with us. So God, as we move forward through this season, God, as we move forward through our circumstance, may you just continue to give us wisdom and guidance. God, help us to be able to connect with our families and kids. God, give us incredible creative ideas to be able to engage with families. God, help us to just come together as a church in this time and just be a light to the world and to our neighborhoods. So God, I just thank you so much for every single leader represented here, and just representing our entire district. God, may you just be with them, may you bless them, may you encourage them today, that everything that they're doing to advance your kingdom is just for your glory and for the goodness of everything that you represent. So thank you for this time. Thank you for the fruit that it produced, and the incredible ideas that were shared. And we just pray this in your name. Amen. Amen. So yeah, thank you all for being here. Again, I'd love for you guys all to connect on our Kids Pastors Network Facebook group. But if you need to get on your way, feel free. Don't be ashamed to log off. But anyone that's up for it, we can do a little bit of a Q&A. So I think probably best, if you have a question, just type it down in the chat box, and I'll kind of voice it to the group, and then everyone can just kind of chime in with kind of your thoughts or answers. So I know one of the questions from a few moments ago was, for those doing videos, what kind of equipment do you use for filming, lighting, camera/phone, editing software? So yeah, anyone doing videos that hasn't said already, want to chime in? What are you guys using?
So I'm doing videos. I'm putting together about a half an hour kids church video each Sunday. And I'm actually just using my iPhone XR, and I just use it in a really well lit area. I got a tripod on Amazon for like $25. And my video crew consists of a 5 and a 7-year-old. So they just make sure it goes. I've got somebody that's editing it though. That's like our tech guy, and that makes the biggest difference. So I feel like filming is the easy part. It's just finding somebody to edit it, or that can edit it well.
Yeah. Maybe I'll ask, is there anyone that's not using an iPhone for filming? Just hands up. You got Mike, what are you guys using?
Well, I'm using an old camcorder.
Okay.
Because I'm old school like that.
And
but
Mike is violently opposed to Apple products.
It's just a philosophical thing, Coke and Pepsi thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, So yeah, I do use my Android phone for filming, and the video quality is better on the phone than the camcorder. But the camcorder is much easier to get the footage onto the computer and do stuff with than from the phone. So that's the trade-off. We've also used just like a DSLR camera, a nice digital camera, and that shoots beautiful video. I just have to borrow it for my daughter, so that's the difficult part about it. And in terms of lighting, we've just used the empty room that we usually hold our program in, and so we go on the stage and it has spotlights there, and we can control that lighting, and it gives the kids a familiar background, and so so that works pretty well. Probably the biggest thing that I would suggest equipment-wise is a tripod, and just have something that's solid, and whether you're using a phone or a camera, that makes the biggest difference in terms of professionalism, I think.
Awesome. And Heather, you had your hand up. You guys using something different?
Yeah, I don't really know too much about what we're using. We just have a guy who does all the media and filming and some special camera. Yeah.
Yeah. Because Heather, she's from CLCC, and what you guys are doing, you have your kind of kids program tagged on to the end of your adult program. Have you guys been doing that consistently each Sunday?
That's what we've been doing. Yeah, but I really like the idea of talking to parents and seeing like what's working for them, what do they like about what we're doing, and kind of, I don't know, maybe changing things or going from there. I thought that was a good idea to see how that's working in their homes.
Yeah, that's good. We've got another question here. Is anyone else feeling mentally, creatively tired? Maybe you can just show of hands if that's you. Yeah, I think I found that out a couple years ago, the difference between like mentally tired and physically tired, right? Like you can not move at all physically, but by the end of the day, be just as tired as if you were like working construction or something. It's definitely tiring. And then the question after that is, what do you find helps you with that? So when you guys get that mental exhaustion, what do you guys do that helps?
Well, one of the things that we're doing, and I know this doesn't work necessarily for those needing to provide Sunday content, but because we're coming to the end of our spring semester anyway with our kids outreach program, is we're just taking a break for till the end of April. Like this weekend is technically our last outreach, and so then we're just taking a break. And normally in the summer we shift towards with our kids program, we shift towards our outdoor programming, but we don't know if that'll happen. So, but in the meantime, we're just gonna take a putting content out break for a couple of weeks. We'll still be working, but not having to produce content.
Just prepare the content for the next run.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Anyone else have a tip that they do to help with exhaustion?
Just some fresh air, clear the brain. Go out, step outside when you feel like you're hitting a wall. Just go step outside for a bit. And our church has like a little patio thing. We ate lunch there the other day. It just helps just to separate ourselves like physically from the space we're working on. So
I think one of the things that I found helpful is actually engaging in the things that I'm asking kids and families to create. If I'm being honest, I think creating whatever it is that I am asking others to create helps me feel like I'm participating in it with them. And I think as I'm doing it, I'm thinking, man, this is actually kind of fun. Like, I wonder what other things would be fun to do for myself and for others. So I found, along with, like, I can't echo what Nicole said enough. Like, it's become a regular part of my day to go for a half an hour walk, because getting away from the screen and out of the house has been the best thing for me creatively.
Yeah, I'll jump in there too. So I'm sure a lot of you have families. I have 3 kids. I have a toddler who's 2. I have a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old. So I'm teaching middle school, elementary school, potty training, and all of this new ministry world at the same time. So to say it's been overwhelming is an understatement, right? Like there's a lot going on. So for me personally, I have a life group that I lead for moms. And so that group of women has been amazing, and we meet every week. And we're actually currently doing a study on the armor of God by Priscilla Shirer. And so I feel like it's a really timely study for us to kind of be strong in the Lord. And so that's been really foundational for me personally. And then, yeah, we go out, we try to get outside. So we take our dog for walks, and I take the kids to the high school track, and the toddler goes on his run bike and just goes and goes and goes. And I know Nadine knows my son very well, so she's been helping me out a little bit too, so she's been a blessing. But yeah, so getting outside is huge in terms of that stress relief.
Yeah, it's all good stuff. I'd echo that as well. I've been trying to get out every afternoon just to go for a walk and just get outside. And even the nice thing about working from home is that my bed is like literally 3 feet from the laundry closet that I'm working in. So sometimes just taking a quick afternoon nap helps as well. So it's good. Another question, Kyle's asking, what are people doing for outreach? Has anyone had ideas for how to reach beyond those already connected to your church? That's a good question.
Alicia, I see you talking, but we can't hear you.
Yes. But it says you're unmuted. No. All right. Anyone else? Oh, yes.
Cool. Sorry, I was just saying our original Easter plan was to make Easter party in the boxes, and those are like outreach focused to do Easter parties in the community. And so I was a little sad that our Easter bags were going to be geared, not just, but we were gearing them just to our church family, because I didn't really know how to advertise to the community. But our post got shared like crazy on Facebook, and I think I knew only about 40% of the people that came by to pick up Easter bags. It was crazy. Like the first 10 people that came by, I was like, I knew 2 of those people. And so when I asked them how they heard about it, most of them were saying just through the Facebook post or friends had told them about it. And so that was like a surprisingly very big outreach for us. And so that's all that we've done so far.
Was the question, Austin, about community outreach?
Yes.
Okay, so
yeah, I think Nadine. Oh, sorry. Continue.
I was just saying, one of my volunteers, he's like 23 years old. He actually, and this is in Maple Ridge in the smaller campus, not in the big Langley campus of CLA. He made me 76 birdhouses out of old wooden tables at the church. So it cost me $0. And we had 3 locations throughout the Maple Ridge community where to pick them up, and they were gone in like about 4 or 5 hours. And we had a contest, like an online contest, and people posted their birdhouses. And then we gave out 5 prizes, Alicia, from our, we just, again, no budget, or try not to spend budget. So we used some of our Easter prizes that we had already prepared for our Easter blast. So that was a huge win for us. Probably 75% of them went to people I didn't know, because in the basement of the Maple Ridge Church, we have a preschool that just rents our place. they're not a Christian preschool, but the lady that runs it does attend our church. So her connection with the community is massive, and we see it at every time we do an event. She connects her families to us, so she's huge. But that was really good. One of the other things we're doing is people in the church are donating gift cards to grocery stores. This is happening in Maple Ridge, and then Langley also has budget to be giving. They're serving 156 families for 8 weeks with gift cards, some pre-prepared meals. The first week they did a big grocery thing. So we had probably about close to $1,500 come in gift cards. And we are partnering with some schools in Maple Ridge too that we've contacted the principal or somebody in charge of knowing maybe what families are hurting during this time. We're also connected with the Salvation Army. So the Salvation Army has come to our church to pick up gift cards. So it's actually been a great opportunity. My daughter Julia, her cooking, she takes like a cooking class in high school, and the teacher, he contacted me about Julia's class, and I said, oh, by the way, if you know of any families that need grocery help, we can help them. And he actually ended up being the guy in charge of it. So we have a really good connection there too. So, I mean, there's people, are going through the grocery store can pick up an extra $25 or $50 gift card if they feel financially able to do that. And that's been really fantastic.
Yeah, awesome.
Hi. Yeah, that sounds really great. We've had like a grocery card ministry for a while, but I found so far it's kind of been on the same, but our church has been involved a lot with the food bank recently, and making sure like we do have like an outreach budget, and we've tried to, even though giving is down, we've tried to kind of continue our support of different like food banks and different things in the community. But what I really wanted to say was back to what Alicia was saying about like the community involvement through like Facebook and like people sharing stuff. Like that has been overwhelming so far, I think, for us. Because I mean, even just on a regular Sunday morning, like you see new families and stuff like that who are watching our services that we didn't know before. So like I come from a small town, small church context, and we actually don't have any families at this point. Like even before the coronavirus started happening, we have been just kind of at a dip. And so now I've had a couple people who started watching our services weekly who have children, and they're like, what can I do for my kids? Like, do you have any like suggestions or things to do? And I sent them a couple links like to Lifetree Kids and to Saddleback Kids. And I actually even sent them the link to APA because Alicia, you're doing such a great job with those videos. And I'm like, hey, I mean, Lifetree Kids and Saddleback Kids are in the States and it's a completely different context, but hey, there's this really great church in BC that's doing these videos and you should check them out. So yeah, like I think just the idea of being live on stream on Facebook has been a really big community engagement for us, because first of all, like we have like people of our community like doing watch parties sort of thing, and so that involves like their friends, and our pastor's wife actually works at Work BC, and so she's gotten a lot of her clients involved and saying like, hey, because a lot of people are turning to God in this time, right? So she'd just be like, hey, like we have this service if you ever want to watch it on Sunday mornings. And we've gotten a lot of people just watching our services online from that. So yeah.
Yeah, Nadine, that's so good. Thanks for sharing. We got a question for Jenny on how did you get the word out about the birdhouses?
We just literally, because I found out on a Saturday that this young man made these birdhouses. And so on Tuesday, I think it was on the Monday, I decided, okay, let's put it out on Facebook and Instagram. And the next morning, I think the preschool director also, she sent out an email to parents. So then the next morning, by 9 o'clock, we put them out in 3 different locations. Literally, people were so sad that they missed it. We probably could have had double the birdhouses because we kept getting messages. Are there any left? And so, yeah, the advertisement went like that. So little time.
And a question from Darlene asking, with the church drive-through to get a prize bag, how did you manage the social distancing? So I saw Alicia, you just commented on that. You want to speak to that?
Sure, I didn't know if I should add. Yeah, when we made the post for ours, I put like a disclaimer at the bottom just to kind of ease any nerves that we're doing everything with social distancing, gloves, masks, and that the bags had sat for a couple days before giving them away. And then we had like contactless pickup. So we had them set on tables, just labeled with like however many kids were in the family, which bag they should get. But most people were fine with us. We were wearing gloves. They were fine with us handing the bag to them as they drove by in the car. But that's how we did it.
Okay. I don't know if like Nanaimo right now has gone a little nuts. Like we're literally like, they're blocking ferries. They're like, yeah. So it's more the perception of what the neighbors are seeing with us out doing it. We had a small group of women gather in a parking lot to meet and have like a tailgate Bible meeting. There was like 8 of them and it went viral. Like people were angry. So I'm just trying to find ways of doing it with the perception of us doing everything properly. But it sounds like the table would be a great idea because then the parent can get out of the car. Is that what you're coming at? Okay.
It's so hard. We did have one mom from our church. She shared it with like her workout group, and someone, it was like a group message, I guess, that she had wrote this in and said like, does anyone want me to pick up a bag for them? And one person responded with like quite strong like opinion of like, that's so awful. I can't believe that's happening. Please, whatever you do, don't do that. And then multiple other ladies in the group messaged her privately and said, I still want a bag. Can you please pick it up for me? So It's like so hard to like balance. Like everyone's going to have an opinion. So yeah, but I guess you have to do what works good for you.
Yeah, I think just being safe. So that's what I was looking for. How did you do it and what was the win? Perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
One of the things that we did too, Darlene, at Living Waters is we actually we had people in our community that are connected to the public health office. And so we actually contacted them and asked what the proper procedures were. So we actually followed their guidelines, which is exactly what Alicia has written. And that way we had a little bit more security if there were someone to come and say, hey, this isn't good, da, 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 da. We could actually say, well, actually, we've actually been in contact with the health office and they've given us guidelines and we're following those to the T. And so everything that we've done has actually warranted that this is actually safe. So I would encourage you to find those connections, whether that's someone in your community or whether that's even just reaching out to the public health office. Because I think that it just shows that you've gone above and beyond in order to ensure that your primary concern is the health and safety of the people that are receiving and the people that are preparing everything. So
yeah, we did the same thing actually for our Easter packages that we handed out. We did it at the same time as communion because our lead pastor did a live communion on Good Friday. So we had self-serve communion. It's like a little, like the juice and the wafer, like all in one little package. So what we did was we put out 2 tables outside of our church, one with the communion stuff and another one with the kids stuff out on the table. And we also had the hand sanitizer there as well. We let families know that the packages had been prepared by me with masks, with a mask and gloves, and that I was the only person who touched the bags and that they had sat for 3 days before they had been put out so that they were germ free, and that families were invited to come to the table, one person wash their hands and take a package, and then the same for the communion. And that worked really well and we didn't have any negative feedback from that. The other thing that our church is doing for outreach though is we're doing these hampers, these food hampers that we're giving out to the community, and that initiative is starting next week. So one option that we're also giving family, people that come up, is that if they would like contactless, delivery, they can even just like open their trunk for us and we can put it in with gloves and then there's no touching. So that's something that we're doing. So just logistically, that's what worked for us.
Yeah, that's awesome. All great stuff. We had a question from Rachel and now Jenny as well, in regards to summer camp / VBS and what everyone is planning and thinking on that. And I was actually hoping we could have that as our next kind of KidMin conversation in a couple weeks. If everyone would be up for that, I know that's kind of the next pressing issue. So if we want to, connect again in a couple weeks, we'll do this. Give everyone some time to think about what they're doing or when their deadline is going to be for deciding, or how it's so much up in the air right now. So yeah, let's connect about that in a couple weeks. And again, let's keep the connecting and conversations going on our Facebook group. So feel free to post questions there. And again, I'll get this posted up if anyone had a note that they wanted to take and they missed it. They can watch the recording. So yeah, well, I think we'll leave it at there. I don't want to be the party pooper, but I know I have to head off. I've been meeting at 3:30. So I think if we leave it at that, thank you guys so much for joining and spending this extra time with the Q&A. That was so good. Thanks everyone for pitching in and leaning in and all those conversations. That was awesome. So we'll see you guys. All the best. Have incredible weeks and enjoy the sunshine. And we'll see you again soon.
Thanks, Austin. Bye, everybody.
Bye.